My dear student, my beloved student. Where are you going to? Okay, all right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, my dear student, today is another good day the Lord has made. We thank Him for everything. We need to show our gratitude because we are here today, breathing in the air in our lungs. God provided everything. You see the sunlight, the rays of the sun shining, So it's a blessing. With that alone, we deserve our gratitude. And we commit whatever we are going to do here this morning into His hand. And we humbly ask Him to guide us, to give us His wisdom. Because without Him, there is nothing can be achieved. Right. Today, I'm going to continue with what I started yesterday by explaining your ISAT to you. ISAT is very important. Like I said, don't play with the ISAT. It's dangerous to play with the ISAT. It's a lot of work, of course. I acknowledge that, but it's doable. The most important thing is that it is doable. Right. So, like I explained to you yesterday, you need to have a guest speaker, if you will, right? Please make sure that you don't forget. Someone needs to come and speak to you. Then you need to tell that person what you want to hear, or maybe during the presentation, you can pose certain questions to the speaker that can help you to be able to do justice to your ISET. Right. So, just to reflect on what we did yesterday, I said you need to look for a business owner that can come here to speak to you. That can. Some of the talks will include or need to touch on the various menus that have been there offered for sale by the business owner in the canteen of the speaker. Then you need to ask certain questions as per what we talked yesterday. Then from there, you can be able to do justice or, to that question. Then today is sub-task 2. Guys, let me pause here and ask questions. Do you understand the word task 1? Sub-task 1. Did you understand it? Huh? You don't understand. Were you here yesterday? Okay. Walala wasala. You cannot eat your cake and have it. But anyhow, that is not the end of the world. You got it on YouTube. You see, you must watch the YouTube. If you don't have the means, perhaps you don't have the internet, come to me. I'm gonna hotspot you here. You download it. Then when you get home, then you can play it, right? Yeah. So today we are going to explain part 2, which is subtask 2, to be specific. What is it all about? Investigate the markets and needs for a new business venture. Right? Okay. That one, the total marks is 16 and the time allocation is 16 minutes. Don't panic. You're going to understand this stuff, right? Don't panic. Then you look at the story, which says, start with this. Each ratio group has their own meal preferences that needs to be satisfied. Is it true? Yes, of course, it's true, right? For example, you are Kosa, you got your own favorite meal, right? You are Zulu, you got your own favorite meals, right? Me from Africa, I got my own favorite meal, right? It's always like that, right? Okay. For the sake of this exercise, let's take it like that. Then the tax, or could be spaza, if you will, shop, has identified three racial groups that best represent their target market. We don't need to do much inquiry about this because when you look at the college itself, the composition of the college or the configuration, if you like, of the students here, we got different racial group here, right? So we don't have a problem with this. Of course, each of the racial group they have their own respective choice, me choice. Then we said we have namely blacks, Indians, and white. Don't worry about those ones. Do we have white people in this class? Indians. Don't have Indians. Right? Yeah, we can always play around with this, right? Okay. So ratio group can be changed to match the population represented in your campus. Of course, there is a way to maneuver it, right? If you don't have Indians, you don't have blacks, you got blacks, of course. You don't have white, you can always maneuver it, right? You see what I mean? Don't let this be a problem to you. Mustn't pose a problem. Do you understand what I'm trying to say here? Right. Then compile a precise questionnaire to determine a new meal preference per target group that the tax shop or spaza shop can consider. You know what is a pre-sale? A pre-sale questionnaire is a questionnaire that is being designed before sales. Perhaps you're trying to establish whether people or your target market will be interested in a specific product or service. Then you can use a preset questionnaires to establish that. Do you get a picture of what I'm saying? Let me look for my laser. I'm explaining it gently, right? So that you can be able to comprehend what I'm saying, so that you can be able to understand. Okay. What we mean by a preset questionnaire, before you start offering a product or service to your target market, you know what your target market is. Right? You don't just include that in your stock or among your stock. You don't just buy it. A rational business person, before you introduce a new stock, you must research on it. What type of research to find out whether your target market will be interested? You see, so this is a shop we are talking about. It's already in existence. The owner have come to speak to you, the type of meal they are selling there, right? Now you discover that there are the meals they are selling there. Let me put it this way: it's not exhaustive. What do I mean by exhaustive? There are still certain meals that they can introduce, right? But take into consideration that you got different ratio group among the target market. For example, you can introduce a specific meal of which the other ratio group are not interested. What is going to happen? Let's say the ratio group that are not interested are more in number than the ratio group that is interested. What is going to happen? You're not going to say well. Okay, let me put it in another form, right? Let's say we got Kosa, right? Kosa, love it, right? Then you got Zulu. Let's say you got, I don't want to say colored. I respect that language, right? You got racial group of the brown. Oh, you call it brown. Oh, brown. Let's call it brown for the sake of this contest, right? Now, maybe the brown is 30%, right? Of the target market population, right? Then you see maybe brown or black or whatever. You say, oh, which one do you call brown? Colored. Okay. Let's say black. Let's say you have 50%. Now we already have 80%. So the 20%, let's say Zulu, right? Now you want to introduce, remember, the brown, they've got their own menu based on their ratio, based on their tribe, their ratio, values, and all those stuff, their favorite. Then the Kosa have got their own. Then the Zulu have got their own, right? Let's say they should give me a name for the favorite menu that you have in your place. You scam, okay. Huh? Scam, storm, ujeta. Okay. Now listen. Okay. The restaurant now wants to introduce a new menu based on the likings of the ratio group, right? In the campus, which is the target group. They introduce scam. The scam you call it just now. I forgot now. What is the name of that food you said? Scam. Okay. Now listen. Without doing any research, Jonga, they introduce scam, right? Remember, the population of people that like that meal is only 20%. Then the brown gonna come, which have a population of 30%. No, we don't want this, right? I can't buy this. Then the black gonna come 50%, the majority. They say, no, we don't like this. Tell me, is that business gonna do well in selling that product? Huh? No, because only a few percent, 20%, right? Now you are serving only 20% instead of looking for the majority. So obviously that product is not gonna do well in terms of sales. That is what we are talking about. You get it? What I'm trying to say now. So in this scenario, we are going to identify three products, right? Three products that you say the one for the brown, the favorite for brown, the favorite for black, the favorite for Zulu. Then you're gonna do a question, design a questionnaire based on that, around that, to see which one gonna be the best that the people like, or which one gonna be liked by most people. That is the exercise that we are trying to. So that questionnaire that you are going to design is what we call a pre-sales questionnaire. Or is it just pre-sales questionnaire? Before you start including that stock in the menu, not you, the business owner, they must first of all design a questionnaire around three meals that is being liked by the respective target group to see the one that gonna come first, people gonna like first, or the one that gonna have a major like. Does it make sense to you? Do you understand it? Who doesn't understand? In the actual sense of it, it makes sense, right? Because you cannot just introduce another meal without you knowing how whether people gonna like it. You see, because you are a business person, you're looking for the market. You want to know the one that people gonna buy, the one that got it. The one that majority of the target market is going to like or would be interested in. Right. So each ratio group has their own meal preferences, right? Like I explained to you, that needs to be satisfied. The tax shop, let me be using tax shop or the spaza, has identified three ratio group that best, okay, we already talked about that. Compile a pre-sale questionnaire to determine one new meal preference per target group, right? Did you understand that? A target group. For brown, there must be a meal that is identified. For Zulu, a meal gonna be identified. For Kosa or whatever black, a meal gonna be identified. Right? Then the questionnaire must be relevant to all the racial group in terms of language and clarity. Of course, it's gonna be in English, right? Then describe the purpose of the questionnaire. They are giving you instructions now how you need to design the questionnaire. Remember, most of you couldn't get a good mark. Your marks was very poor for the first task. For the task you did, task two, because you didn't know how to design a questionnaire. I gave you a template. Most of you didn't care to look at that template. So we must make sure this one you do it well. I want you to get 16 over 16 on this one, right? I want your ISAT mark to be very high, at least 80%. All of you, you must get less than, the least mark I'm expecting from you is 80% on this ISAT. So then you describe the purpose of the questionnaire, right? I'm still going to give you that template so that you see how to design the questionnaire properly. Then contain at least two open-ended and two closed questions to the, you know what is two open-ended, right? Then once the lecturer has marked, you see, what is going to happen is that once you design your questionnaire, before you start distributing it, you must come to me to review it, right? Once I said it's good, before you continue the next process or you go to the next stage. Once the lecturer has marked your pre-set questionnaire and you have done the required changes, hand it back for copies to be made for you to conduct your research in your own time. You must conduct your survey amongst at least 3 persons per ratio group on your campus. You see, it's not allowed, right? You just look for 3 people. For example, for brown, you look for 3 people. Then for, okay, how we are going to do it is this, right? Maybe we can, it's something that we need to agree on as well. If we can use tribe, say Kosa, Zulu, and Debele, if we're going to use something like that, right? We need to agree on that. You see, for uniformity's sake, right? Then you look for 3 people from each group. It's easy. Right. Just look for 3 people from Zulu side. Okay, you give to them. When you are distributing the questionnaire, you don't need to distribute it to a lot of students, which is good. It's a good news, right? So 3 people from each group, which means 9 completed surveys. But this one is too little. I don't know who drafted this question. How can you make an informed decision just for you conducted it for only 9 people? To me, if I were the one that designed this question, 9 is too few. But for the sake of this exercise, let me not contest it, right? Then, under supervision, use the information from the 9 completed questionnaire to tabulate, to make a table and briefly describe one new meal per ratio group that the tuck shop can add to their menu. This question doesn't make sense. Why I say it doesn't make sense, not really that it doesn't make sense, but the numbers of it survey is too few for you to make an informed decision here. It's too few. It's not even saying that you must describe to come up with one menu that can work across. How can you interview? You've how can you distribute questionnaire to 3 people, right? At the end of the day, there are only few because if 2 said yes, that means the one that took it, and then you pick that. Okay, we're gonna do it for the sake of this exercise, but it's too little, right? Then tabulate and briefly describe one meal per ratio group that the tuck shop should or can add to the menu. Attach your completed survey questionnaire to the meal recommendation table as an lecture. Right. Okay, let me see now. Once the lecturer has marked your preset and you have done the required, hand it back. Okay. You must conduct your survey among at least 3 persons per ratio group on the campus. Right? Under the survey, use. Okay. All right. Now, do you understand it? Irrespective, yeah. That is, if each person choose a different mean. Okay, let me try to make sense out of it because you conduct a survey among at least 3 people from ratio group on your, yeah. Because when you are designing it, because that questionnaire, okay, let's see how it's gonna be. If it is something that we cannot analyze, then we increase it. Do you understand? Because if at the end of the day we discover that it's too few for you to make an informed decision, we can adjust it. Then we have to include a note that the numbers are too few. But let's see what is going to happen along the way. Right. So that is that. But you do what's supposed to be done, then you distribute it. You first of all design your questionnaire. Right. There's subtask 3. Is there any confusion as far as subtask 2 is concerned? Design your questionnaire, then you bring it. I will peruse it, review it, and see if it is okay, then I approve it before you can start collecting your data. Right? Any confusion? Okay. Then subtask 3, right? Determine financial requirement of a new business venture. Right? Here we are talking about preparing a budget. Right? Don't worry. Well, I know most of you, when you hear about a budget now, then your heart will be trying to skip beat. Don't worry. It's not difficult. There is a template. There's a template you're going to use to do this one. What is the marks? 16 marks. This one, I want all of you to get 16 over 16. This one again. Right? So, what do you need to do here? Right? Okay, let's read. Fund budgeting. This one is the preamble. We call it preamble. Sound budgeting is a very important element for the survival of a business. Is it true of us? Of course, it's true. Right? Financial management. Right? You need to know how to manage your finances in a business. Imagine that you are the owner of the tax shop, right? Covered in the previous subtask. As owner, you now have to compile a budget that will ensure that the shop survives all year round and make a profit. So remember that during examination time and during the closure of the college in December, the number of customers we only buy from you will decrease, right? When the college close, remember what we are trying to capture here is this. During holiday time, the sales goes down, right? So if you are the owner of this tax shop, you are making a budget. Remember, you need to future that. You need to capture that, put it into consideration. Because when you are going to buy your product or your raw materials to make whatever meal you are making here, so during that uh, slow down period, but what is going to happen? You must make sure that you don't go and buy a lot. That is what they are trying to reflect here. It's like when you got peak period and off peak. Right. When you know that the sales are going to be low, that should be, or that must be reflected in your budget as well. Does it make sense to you? Right. Then, let's see what we have next. To start your budgeting process, use Worksheet 1, we got a template. I'm going to show it to you. I will explain to you, right? That is the good news about this question. Very easy. You just need to look for figures, reasonable figures, and capture it in the template. Use worksheet 1 to compile your personal budget as owner to determine your monthly needs. Use the given examples and add your budget amount and further items if required. For experience, you know that your monthly business expenses range from 15,000 to 20,000. So they're giving you some figures now, right? As from 15 to 20. Determine the monthly business expenditure that you want to use for budgeting purpose within the given range. When I come to that, then there I will provide you detailed explanation, some more explanation. Calculate your total monthly expense by adding your personal expense and the business expense, right? This one is the business expense, so you need to work out some other personal expenses that has to be added to this to arrive at the total expenses. Then to ensure that you and your business survive, so at the end of the day, you add a 7% profit margin, which is the markup, onto your annual expenses. Then finally, calculate the income required per month to cover the annual expenses plus profit if you only get income for 10 months, right, in a year. So the other 2 months is taken away perhaps during the holiday. But your income has to stretch over 12 months. Okay. Now, let me look. Let's see. There's a template, as I said, that we are going to use. Okay, I'll show you the template later. Then time on the month allocation. This is how it goes. The first one, activity, 60 minutes, 18 marks, right? Then the second subtask, 60 minutes, as allocated there in respect of time that you need to utilize in doing the specific task. Then the marks allocation is 16, right? Then the third one as well, 60 minutes, yeah, altogether 50, right? So if you are able to get 16 here, that is 32. Even this one, you can even get maybe 15. It's possible to get 95% in this size. Possible. So now, let's see. Assessment tools. Guys, as I said, you must always make sure that you refer to any assess checklist or rubric that you are giving any task work because it shows how you are going to be assessed. Very, very important. Okay, let's look at this. Students checklist. Then you see the subtask one, right? What it entails. For example, there must be the summary must contain name of the business, right? Which business are we talking about here? Yeah, the sponsorship, the one that someone is coming to present to you, do a kind of presentation to you. That is the one we are talking about, right? Then the name of the business must be there. Once you are able to capture the name of the business correctly, right? Of course, you've got, it's gonna, perhaps if it's only one person that comes here, if it is this lady that's gonna do it for you, then of course it's gonna be the same name throughout for all of you, right? Then you are, here you get one, right? You scored, right? Already. Very quick, easy. Then form of business. What could be the form of business? I don't know. If it is sole proprietorship, if she is the only person operating the business, or if they are in partnership, then you need to write it. I'm not saying you must write it here. No? So then you pocket that one, right? You got two already. Then one external and one internal stakeholder of the business. Who are the internal? The employees, right? The employees and the internal. For example, you can talk about the manager, their supervisor, whatever. Then They say one external and one internal, right? Only one employee. Then who are the external? Right? Even you are part of the external or suppliers. You see? So altogether you got four. 4/16. You are moving, right? Okay. Now, manner of advertising product. How does he advertise product? For example, if you got a flyer or using flyers or WhatsApp, social media, then you put it there. You put it there. You've got another 1 month, very neat, sweet, right? You see, then number of employees. You ask her how many employees you got. You can even see how many people are working there, right? But you must ask her, right? Then you score yourself. What the another 1 month, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 months already. Then name and description of two meals. That means the two meals that she's selling there. I know she's selling it. Remember, I bought chicken then. Chicken, not chicken. Fried eggs. Fried eggs and tomatoes. Or fried cheese and tomatoes. You know, then you describe it. We are not talking about sweet, no? The menu, the food that she's making by herself, right? Hello, you're sleeping. Huh? Okay, so now if you are able to describe two correctly, look here, you score again another four, right? You've already got 8/16. Then the last one, SWOT analysis, giving two relevant statements under each heading, right? You can ask her what is her strength, right? Then her weaknesses. For example, now, we can say her strength. She is somebody that maybe she must have done participate in a cooking training on how to make all those type of stuff, or maybe she's from somebody from a background, family background that have been running a tuck shop before. You know, all those type of stuff can be the strength. Weaknesses, maybe somebody that sometimes she always get frustrated, you know, with people, or somebody that's maybe emotional, right? Those kind of stuff, or somebody that doesn't like to wake up early, you know, that could be weakness, right? Then, in terms of the opportunity available here, we can talk about, for example, you. Did they say two, right? You that is, you are part of the target market. You know, this bursary, this NSFAS you are receiving is a good opportunity for her here as well. Because I remember those days when students were not receiving cash from the government. Restaurants used to struggle here because then the students were very poor. You see, I remember those days. I'm not trying to let me not talk about that again. Let me just stop that. So you see, at that point in time, students were not having money. But with this NSFAS, it's making that place to be booming because you cannot afford. It's an opportunity. Okay, let's talk about the growth of the student of the college. Because remember, those days, we used to have, like I told you, the college was very small those days. There were not so much as we are here now, number of lecturers and students. So, due to the growth potential of the college, it presents a kind of opportunity for the restaurant as well. So you can mention that. You see, I've already answered the questions for you. Now you got 8 months there. Add up 16. No sweat. Did you see? It's easy. Now let's move. Yeah. No, she's gonna come to present. Yeah. No, no, it's the same person. You listen to the same presenter. No, 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 nobody gonna mark you down because you listen to the same presenter. Because they say we must look for one or two. Because where we gonna get another person here? Unless you can be able to get another person that can come here to speak to you. So there will be a kind of a variation, but even the variation will not be much. That one will be now depend on choice, whether you want to write about this business or the other business. But the variations will not be much. I don't think you're gonna be penalized, you see, because you listen to the same presenter, right? Okay, now we've done that. Subtask two. That is a very good question, right? You must always try to make sure you ask questions anywhere you don't understand. It's very important, right? I see. Where are you looking at? Huh? You must look at me. Don't look at somewhere else. You see, she's losing focus. Now, investigate the markets and need for a new business venture. Remember, you need to do a survey now for you to be able to advise the owner of the business regarding the what type of additional menu to introduce, right? So then you do a pre-sales questionnaire. The layout of the questionnaire was suitable. Guys, remember, and maybe I need to send it to you again. How to design the template for the questionnaire so that by this time you should be able to get it right. Hmm? Layout of the questionnaire was suitable. That one gonna be 2 marks. Describe the purpose of the questionnaire, which is 1 mark. Then contain at least, yeah, that is how it's going to go. Then the marks there is 7 marks. Then survey was conducted with 9 questionnaires, completed and attached. You must attach the 9 questionnaires that you received. Completed questionnaire, right? 3 marks. Recommended and described one new meal per ratio group. You see, that is why this is okay. Let's see what is going to happen. Then 6 marks, right, for that. Okay, then this one, the personal budget was compiled, 4 months, the business expenses were determined, and all those kind of stuff. 50 marks. Let me see, look for the template for the budget. Let me see, so that we can be able to understand what we are talking about regarding the subtask 3. Where is it? This is where you can find the template. I'm going to send this thing to you. Put it in your group, WhatsApp group, right? Uh, okay. I'm not gonna send this one because you got some of the answers here. Eh? Some of the answers here. Hmm? If you can, if your eyes can be very sharp now and get some of the answers. Why this thing is not moving? It's stuck now. Why is it stuck now? Is that the end? But where is the template? My man, this is stuck. This is my student, they made it to be stuck. Okay. You see, Papu Chakalaka, Tasby, all those type of stuff. You know? Okay, this is how it is. Eh? Let me see the templates. Where is that? That is the answer. Where is the template? Where is the template, man? Is the template that got answers of? But where is the template? Okay. This is the template, right? I'm gonna put it in your group, right? Right. Accommodation. It's easy, man. You just put a certain amount, right? Accommodation. Okay. This is the. Oh, man. Wait. Don't go. Don't go yet. Oh, this is the one that was prepared, right? Okay. Where's. Okay. This is the template. Then these are the expenses: accommodation, food, cosmetics, clothing and shoes, water, electricity, telephone and cell phone, transport, and all those type of stuff. Then you get the total, right? I'm gonna put it for you. Then determine own amount between these two. You can put determine your own amount there, right? Then total monthly personal expenses per month and all those stuff. Then you add the 7%. When you add up the total, then you add up 7%. You mark it up with 7%. Right. Okay. We're gonna still talk more about this, all right? So let's stop here. Yeah. Okay.